This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Summerhour with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We are about to take you live to Henderson City Hall, where Senator Cortez Masto and city officials will discuss federal funding meant to help make Boulder Highway safer. Here's what we know. The federal government has approved a grant worth nearly $40 million for the reimagined Boulder Highway project. This project will reduce the automotive traffic in the area and the lanes on Boulder, making them from a 6-lane to a 4-lane. It will enhance pedestrian zones and sidewalks along the highway, and it will create a buffered bike lane along with dedicated lanes for bus traffic. Of course, Boulder Highway has had more than its share of accidents involving pedestrians. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Highlighted great infrastructure opportunity here in Henderson, Nevada. This is a collaboration. This is why it's so important that you have this collaboration at the federal, state, and local level. As we all know, infrastructure needs are key to our communities, and it requires all of us working together to ensure that here in Southern Nevada, and as we see here in Henderson, we're working to ensure we're getting the essential funds that are necessary for our road improvements and infrastructure improvements in general for the benefit of all of our community members. Let me say a little bit about this project. The Reimagine Boulder Highway project, as you all know, was just awarded the $40 million from at the federal level. Boulder Highway is one of the most, I understand, important stretches of highway because we had concerns about almost 10% of traffic fatalities in the whole state happen on this stretch of road. And we've got people commuting along it by car, on foot, in buses, and on bicycles every day. And we need to make sure that all of them are safe. That's why after consulting with not only the City of Henderson, but the Regional Transportation Commission here in Southern Nevada, we do on a regular basis. Either they're coming to Washington, I'm coming here to sit down with them, but it was important to understand the needs of our communities. That gives me the opportunity then to go to the Secretary of Transportation and say, we need to prioritize, we need projects here, here's why this is important in Southern Nevada. I was able to reach out to Secretary Buttigieg earlier this summer to talk about the federal funds that were needed for this specific project. And I'm pleased to say that the Secretary, of course, was listening. And as you can see, the essential dollars, almost $40 million that are coming into Henderson for the Reimagine Boulder Highway project. Listen, this is going to be essential funding to ease traffic here in Henderson, to protect pedestrians and bicyclists and improve local transit so that people can get back to work and back to school safely. So I'm pleased to be able to join them today with this announcement. I look forward as the project it gets underway to the improvements that it's going to make here in Henderson. And I will continue to work to ensure that we're doing everything we can to bring these federal dollars, essential dollars, into our communities for infrastructure projects just like this. So I want to thank the partnership of Henderson and all of your incredible leaders. Thank you to the RTC that you work with as well. This is really a community effort, collaborative effort. That's what makes it happen here in Nevada. And that's what makes us Nevada strong, this opportunity for all of us to get together and work together to the benefit of our community. So thank you for joining us. I don't know if we have somebody else that as well. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. And then we'll open up for questions later.
You bet.
Thank you.
It is a collaborative effort, but obviously we need outstanding leadership at the top to actually get the dollars for us, and we can't thank you enough for that. That's going to be critical to this operation. I'd like to introduce Ed McGuire. He is our guy on top of all of this for Public Works, and he's going to be able to give you a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Councilman and Senator. Good to see you. So the Boulder Highway Reimagined, we're excited to talk about a road project that is not a congestion problem or a backup or a delay problem. This is an old state highway that has outlived its usefulness. Most of the truck traffic comes in from Arizona, now gets on US 95. And so the Boulder Highway, we now suffer from really a high speed problem and collisions with pedestrians and bicyclists, way too many fatalities. Like you said, nearly 10% of the state fatalities on the Boulder Highway corridor. So we propose to go to 2 travel lanes each direction, a detached sidewalk, a wide sidewalk. We don't have sidewalk all the way down this alignment. Detached or separated bike lane, dedicated bike lane, and ultimately center running transit. So the buses will be down the center, similar to downtown Las Vegas. It'll make the boarding safer. It'll make the crossings shorter. We'll reconfigure those intersections with some sort of pop-outs at intersections to shorten pedestrian crossings. We plan, as part of this, we're working with NDOT to relinquish this section of Boulder Highway. So this will become a city street and a more local, this will turn into an arterial instead of a state highway. So we're going to add street lighting along the entire corridor. And then the drainage, we have a lot of the surface drainage. It doesn't meet the current regional flood control criteria, so all the drainage will be upgraded to meet the 100-year design criteria, and nearly all of that will be underground. So it'll open up a lot of that real estate. Some of this corridor, the right-of-way is 350 feet wide. So when the road's all done, there'll be an opportunity for some right-of-way relinquishment and businesses to expand and narrow down that street section. So we estimate we're at 30% plans, and we have a cost estimate. We estimate this is somewhere in the $130 million price range for everything. And between the infra grant and the commitment from the state, we're at $79 million with our local gas tax. And we're working with RTC of Southern Nevada to reprogram some future monies. We had originally talked about this in a couple of phases, and there's nothing worse than a project that drags on. I guess the only thing worse than a project that drags on is one that never happens, but I did not want a 6-year-long 2-phase. So we think we can reprogram money and have at least $125 million by 2023 when we hope to start construction. So we'll be advancing construction dollars if necessary and moving this along. So thank you so much for your support.
With that, we'll be happy to open up for questions if you have some questions.
I have a list of questions that they gave me. Some of them are a little
I have a list of answers they gave me. So,
how many deaths or incidents have happened along Boulder Highway to prompt this initiative?
Ed, do you have any idea?
Yeah, I do. Since it's a state corridor, NDOT reports on the state fatalities, but in the stretch we're looking at, and of course, the highway's been here for more than 50 years, and I don't have 50 years worth of data, but the last 10 years, like 3 years ago, this was the most dangerous stretch of highway. So there's a number in our grant application, I think, that said over the last X years there were 34, but it's like we've had 10 in the last 10 years, and then there's been a lot of, those are just the fatalities that are reported. There's a lot of near misses, and then there's a lot of non-reported, the lower speed, a lot of things don't get reported between pedestrians and cars at corners and things like that. So we know the number is excessive. It's, it's unacceptable to us.
What intersections specifically will see upgrades?
Well, that's a really specific question. We're only at 30% plans, but all the existing intersections and traffic signals would ultimately be modified for center running transit and to shorten the pedestrian crossings. And then when this is relinquished, NDOT's standard is quarter-mile intersections. If there's going to be a signalized intersection, we can put major driveways or intersections closer together as a city street. So there will be multiple. I think in our application we said at least 6 additional pedestrian crossing locations besides all the existing signals and the existing pedestrian crossings. But that'll come out of the final design.
You touched on this at the podium, but what kind of improvements are going to be made? What can people expect to see in the future when it's done?
Bike, ped, lighting, drainage, striping, and configuration, and the pavement itself is in pretty good condition for a road project, but there will be anywhere that's needed, that will be part of NDOT's requirement, is that we make sure we maintain that riding surface as well.
And I'm sure that you've done some studies because of incidents that have been there, but what are the studies showing that are the problem areas with the road? Is it because it's just a long straight road? Is it the pedestrian crossings? Is it some blind intersections? What are the major problems that are being addressed?
Good question. Combination. It's long and straight, so the speeds end up high, especially going northbound. It's downhill. So the speeds end up high. Most of it's dark. the crossings are wide and the crosswalks are infrequent. So the biggest problem we have is somebody that doesn't want to walk to the corner to cross the street to come back, and they just decide they're going to cross mid-block in the dark. Almost all of them, or turn into one of those, I didn't see them, next thing I know, there's a guy in my lane. And so most of them, it's a combination of visibility, speed, part driver error, part pedestrian error in many cases.
And the last one for me is when it came to planning this out, did we get a lot of information from the businesses and people who live in the area, or what did we do with that?
Great, really good question. And yes, RTC of Southern Nevada is here. We started this as a planning project years ago. There were thousands of hours spent in public meetings. They went to all the fairs and that sort of thing, interviewed people. We had multiple public outreach opportunities. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of surveys. So that was one of the criteria, is there public acceptance of your project? And so a lot of the things we'd been working on for all these years, this kind of fell into our laps, that we could answer all those questions in the affirmative, that we had a lot of outreach. There was a lot of support for pedestrian, bike, bus. This is the 4th busiest bus route in Clark County. It's #1 for bicycles on the bus. RTC tracks everything. So a lot of the things that we're looking to improve, we already have the numbers that show that it's warranted, that the numbers are high, and there's great opportunity to increase them.
I guess I lied, I have two more. So the second one will be for you to tell us what your name is. But the next one is, after this is done, what are we hoping will be the result? I mean, are we...
Zero fatalities? There's... the dream would be 0 fatalities and increased ridership on the bus, lowered emissions, less traffic, give people better opportunities to get on and off the bus or use the bike route or use the sidewalk. So there's a lot of redevelopment plans along the Boulder Highway. We have a lot of transit-oriented design that's been discussed and new businesses. So the goal would be to have mass transit that works well for them and have them use it.
Can I get you to state this?
Yeah, my name is Ed McGuire. I'm the Public Works Director.
Thank you.
Do you have anything for them?
This is the most important.
Maybe I do, but I'm wondering, Henderson is a portion of this project, but there are also portions that lie in Clark County and the city. And I'm wondering if you know where Clark County and the city lie as far as their progress in planning.
Councilman? No, I do. We've spent a lot of time. When we started this project, we started with the county. We share the border with the county down near Russell Road. And I talked to the Public Works Director, Dennis Cedarberg, and we have different problems. As we get further north, we do get into a bit of a congestion problem. It's, there's a lot more use as you go north. They've done a number of projects and a special improvement district when you get to the casinos. They've got landscaping and sidewalk and street lights. So Dennis's current plan is not to try to match this. He's got basically a full street section with sidewalk. And so our deal was we would transition to whatever his improvements look like to make sure no one's stranded. We'll make sure the sidewalks are connected and the whole corridor is lit. And if the bus is in the median, by the time you get to Russell Road, that's kind of the obvious landmark, the traffic signal. The actual border is just to the south, but that you'll be transitioned back to a standard cross section. And so all the existing bus stops to the north will remain. And then the city of Las Vegas has a big development project going on right now at the very last, about 3/4 of a mile near Fremont and Charleston. And that's under construction right now. They've already done the utility work and the drainage work, and there's some new apartments and mixed use. So they said, we're good. We actually have a developer working on that corridor. So it ended up the Boulder Highway project is really the 7.5 miles in Henderson.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you,
If not,
everyone.
thank you very much.
Yes,
We
thank you so
appreciate
much
your
for
time.
coming.
Thank you.
All right, you just heard from Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and some city officials regarding the Boulder Highway project, the Reimagine Boulder Highway project. So here's what we know so far. 40 million of those dollars are going to be coming from federal. The rest will be coming from state and other local entities, which means $130 million is what they're looking to spend. And that construction date will start 2023. Here's some of the things that they said that they wanted to improve. They said that the freeway is too flat, which causes speeding, and there's not enough enough lighting, which means it's very dark. And a lot of times what they're hearing as far as pedestrian accidents is that those pedestrians are crossing in different areas where there are no pedestrian crosswalks, and they are being hit by speeding vehicles. What they want to do to improve this freeway is as follows. They want, of course, to put more street lighting. They want, of course, put more pedestrian crosswalks than there already are. I think he mentioned about 6 or more. And of course, they want to install bike lanes there as well to allow for bike riders to travel safely. They also want to go ahead and upgrade their 100-year design plan for the drainage, which will all be underground. And they also want to narrow down, again, those freeways. So we're looking at a more 4-lane freeway instead of the 6 that are there. So that way they can equate for sidewalks for local businesses. They said that this has had extreme amounts of public acceptance as this project has been, streamlined and planned for those who live in the area so that they could see what the future holds for this. And they said they've had a lot of public acceptance. And also from RTC, this is the 4th busiest bus route in the valley. So this is extremely important from getting people to and from these areas safely. And he said that the goal is 0 fatalities, as they have had dozens over the years. And we will have more on this story online at lvrj.com. You can also download our free RJ mobile app to get breaking news alerts like this straight to your phone. And of course, we will be updating you on today's events and more at 7 p.m. You can also find us on Roku, Apple TV, and all of your favorite digital platforms. I'm Renee Summerhour. Thank you for watching.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.